Hi, everyone. Welcome to the CP Sessions Call to Love, Call to Hope. We're streaming live every weekday at noon and 7 p.m. Eastern. This is our last week of these live streams, so please tune in and share with your friends. We are so excited to share with you about how mission has shaped us to the people we are today. I'm here with my first year team. We served in Los Angeles together in 2015, 2016, which is ages ago. And back in that time, it was filled with beauty and pain, and all of us are in different stages of our life, and we hope to just share with you the beauty of the mission and how we've lived it out. My name is Hannah Gutierrez, and I work for the Culture Project in Philadelphia, and I manage the Los Angeles team. Tom, would you care to introduce yourself?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks. So I am a residence director at Franciscan University of Steubenville, and I just completed my first year here. So the first 3 quarters of the year I had residence, and the last quarter did not have any residence to direct. But I was a missionary with the Culture Project for 3 years. So my second year was with this lovely team here. So it's 2015, 2016 in LA. Sweet.
Maryrose, do you want to go? Oh, sorry. I'm already
Maryrose.
Hi, I'm Maryrose Richards. I served with the Culture Project from 2014 to 2016 in New York and Los Angeles. And I actually just recently moved to Philadelphia from New York, and I work at the Newman Center at St. Agatha St. James as a development manager.
Emily, I'm sorry. We planned this. This is just we planned this, and we're all like, oh my gosh, how are we going to introduce ourselves? Emily, please go.
We were like, we should say popcorn to whoever. And I was like, saying popcorn is lame, but what's even more lame is sitting awkwardly waiting for the next person to go. So hi, my name is Emily Liuzza. I was in the Culture Project from 2015 to 2017. And I was in Los Angeles my first year with these lovely people. And then my second year, I was in Toledo, Ohio. And currently I live in Lawrence, Kansas, where I'm the campus minister at the University of Kansas. Armando?
Armando, are you going? You have to unmute yourself.
So my name's Armando. I was on the team, the LA team, 2016, and I am currently a licensed professional counselor. I'm working out here in Houston. I'm working for this organization called Grazia Plena and the Tarnell Center for Self-Management, and it's great. I'm working on my PhD right now, and I'm working on my dissertation, and I'm writing about internet gaming disorder, young men, and the ability to self-monitor, take care of yourself, and how they like their family life. So it's a big correlational thing. So yeah, it's great.
Thank you, Armando. As you can see, if you ever thought any Culture Project missionary is perfect, just know that, we're all just a little crazy. So before we dive in, I encourage you to write your questions down in the comments below. We want to hear from you, and we want to spend the last part of this conversation answering your questions. And yeah, let's get started. The first question that I would love to ask you guys, my team, is how has the mission shaped you into the person you are today?
I'll go first. I think the biggest thing for me, so this year was my first year as a team leader for the Culture Project. And this is something that really changed my life in terms of perspective. And I had been on teams before. I'd been on baseball teams and different project teams, throughout school and all that. But this was really the first time that I had a tight-knit team that I was responsible for, in the sense of having that title. So going into that year, not really knowing what to do or how to do it exactly. And then realizing throughout the year how I needed to be okay with not having everything all together. Because I wanted to so badly. I wanted to be perfect. I wanted to take care of everybody to the best of my ability. But I fell short a lot. And these these people, these teammates. I mean, you all were really great to me, and were able to just pick me up and be there for me when I did fall short. So so that aspect of leadership and learning what it means to be a leader, but then also a big part of that being okay with not having everything all together. So that's one thing that I really took away from this year.
Thank you, Maryrose.
Yeah, I think to echo, what Tom was saying, I think something, being out of the Culture Project for a couple years, something that was so transformative in my life was the community and the people in it. I think when I joined the Culture Project, I was like, I'm going to talk about dignity. I'm going to give these talks. It's going to be great. And I think I just wasn't prepared for how much the Culture Project was going to transform my life, even, 4 years, being 4 years out of it. I think one of the joys of our mission is we get to remind people of their dignity. But I think in the process, our community, such a beautiful part of it is we are reminded of our goodness, of our dignity as well. In our shortcomings, in our victories. I don't know, that was just, being in touch with a lot of people from the Culture Project still, that has just been such a gift in my life.
Thanks. Yeah, I think even me still being in the Culture Project and working in management and leading people, I think the biggest gift that the mission has given me is to understand myself and my gifts, and that you can have the best idea to lead people and the best plan, but the reality is you're dealing with broken people. And if you don't know how to encounter somebody, if you don't know how to motivate them or forgive them or have the benefit of the doubt that they were not trying to test you by leaving water bottles all over the house that would annoy you. I'm sorry, I was going to bring it up, although I just had to. Like, they're not trying to do that. And although in the eyes of the world, it's so easy, and I'm sure you've all felt this, and I would love to hear, especially from you, Emily and Armando, because y'all are in particular places where I feel like this happens. Like, people can look down on a year that you've spent on mission as if like it's a year backwards in your professional career, when in fact, when you understand people in any role, in any professional environment, you're able to be a better manager, supervisor, whatever, clown. I don't even know what you want to do, but Emily or Armando, please say something.
Yeah, I can speak into that. I'm not a professional clown, but maybe there are people out there that, that's their dream. Like, go for it, get after that dream. You can make your dreams come true. So I do think that, I love what you said about like, some people can perceive like you get out of college and you go do a year of mission because you don't know what else to do with yourself. It's like another year to figure it out. And maybe that's true for some people, but that honestly isn't what the result of doing a year of mission is. So for me, like, I've been a campus minister at KU for 3 years, and basically have been building their campus ministry program from scratch. So the entire structure, the name of it, the mission, the vision, the team, everything has been what I've been doing the past 3 years. And I would have no idea how to do that without the things that I learned as a missionary, especially on in the area of like team dynamics, in the area of communication, in the area of humility in leadership. In particular, I think that the Culture Project really has a heart for human dignity that it can radically change your vision of like how you see the world if you let it. So a lot of people see human dignity and they think it's just a pro-life issue, but the Culture Project really opened my eyes as a missionary to the gamut of human dignity, and how honoring the dignity of the human person means like giving people the time of day that are right in front of me, because they're worth it. They're worth the conversation. They're worth me pausing and getting to know, so I can understand them better, so that I can work with them better, so that I can love them better. And that aspect of like human formation. Not that I was like this troll before I got into the culture project. I feel like I just painted this picture of like, I didn't talk to anyone before I was like, no, but like, it's easy to talk to people that you like, and it's easy to talk to people that you find easy to talk to, you know. And what the culture project did was, you know, rip that apart of like, actually you should talk to people even if you find it difficult to be with them, or even if you find it difficult to have that conversation, or even if your personalities like aren't the same, like doesn't matter, like they're worth you and your heart and your time. And because in the professional world, like you're working with tons of different types of people, and you can't just cling to the people that you think are your people. Like you got to work with everybody. And so I think for me, the culture project was invaluable in that area.
Thanks. Armando, do you have anything to share in that, especially you being a counselor? And yeah.
Well, I mean, I wasn't a troll either, but I think I kind of am a troll. So um, I think the wonderful thing about the Culture Project, the wonderful thing about the Culture Project is it really stretched me in a lot of interesting ways for personal growth, moving towards different virtues, moving towards just kind of understanding the human person in a way that's absolutely wonderful. I mean, there's so many issues that a person experiences that are much different than just like the big topics you think of when you think of human dignity. Now, I work with a lot of trauma, a lot of sexual abuse and sexual addiction. And when I'm thinking about it, like my experience in the Culture Project got me out there talking to a lot of different people, listening to their perspectives at the end of their talks. And because of that, I felt like I was much more prepared in encountering the people that I do right now. You know, being able to see them much more as, you know, at times being the victim of a circumstance, at times being the perpetrator even of something that was pretty bad. You know, so whether you were the victim, a perpetrator, whatever it might look like, you still have that value and that human dignity. You still deserve that care and that healing that God wants them to have. So when we look at the idea of human dignity, we have to understand that it's much bigger than us, and we had the wonderful opportunity to share that. And I was just kind of like grasping my head around like how small my worldview was at the time, and how it took the team really to help expand that. Because like Emily said, like in college, I only hung out with the people that I liked to. And, you know, we're all different. And the mission gave me the opportunity to hang out with people who are different than me and grow to love them. So I think that the Culture Project was absolutely monumental in helping me kind of grow outside of myself.
Thanks, Armando. Yeah, I think one thing that I want to say, and for those of you who are just tuning in, this is the Los Angeles team for the Culture Project from 2015 to 2016. Please share your Facebook questions. We're chatting about how the mission has formed us into the people we are today. And one thing that I was thinking of when you were talking, Armando, is obviously we put in hard work to be able to bear the fruits of mission professionally, personally, spiritually. And I would love to hear from you guys. What are some difficult things that you had to work through to really reap those benefits from mission? Go ahead, yeah. Oh no, I can't hear you.
There we go. Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, I can start off, and please, like, teammates, poke your head into this. Yeah, I think that community life, like us being a team, that's not something that's just like a given. It's not something that just happens passively. Like now we didn't choose to be a team. We were told this is your team. And so it's not like you just like receive community. That's not how community works. Community is something that you work towards with a group of people, particularly people that you wouldn't have chosen yourself. And so I think that, you know, our community and working together. Yeah, it just took like all of us, and I'll speak for myself, not for everyone else, but just a level of humility to be able to learn to, like, in community, the other person comes first. Like, you're looking towards the other. And for me, when you're just out of college, like, I didn't know that lesson yet. You know what I mean? Like, it was kind of about, like, what do I think is best? What do I want? And being a part of this group definitely, like, teaches you and informed me in particular to, be humble and think of the other.
Thanks. Yeah, what do you guys feel like, even if it's something that isn't maybe necessarily professionally, what did you have to overcome, or even what did you have to bring to the table when it came to the mission? Go ahead, Tom. Yeah.
A couple things come to mind when this question, I suppose. I think the first thing is that the Culture Project did a really great job of having a balanced life in terms of the vision, with the pillars of work and formation and community life and prayer life. Having all of that structured pretty much every day during the mission year, I think made a rhythm, made a natural balance to the life of the missionary, which I've definitely taken with me. A daily prayer life is something that's important to me, and always trying to learn, always trying to continually to be formed. So I think that's something else I've taken with me. But this, when I think of community, I think of family, and I think that the lessons I've learned in the Culture Project will definitely transfer to family life when I get married. So it's just a matter of learning what that means, learning what that looks like. Hannah, I remember a time, if you remember your birthday party for your birthday celebration that you had. So for those of you who don't know, Hannah loves her birthday. She is a huge birthday fan. So she would remind us 4 months out, 3 months out, 2 months out, it's going to be my birthday. It's going to be my birthday. Everybody get ready. It's my birthday coming up. So by the time her birthday rolled around, you better be sure we were ready for it. So we tried to shower her with as much gifts and as many loves as we could during that day. But I remember, like, we were like in the opening present time, and Hannah started to get like a little sad. And in my mind, I'm like, what the heck? Like, we did so much, like we tried so hard to make this the perfect day. But Hannah was just, getting a little sad just because she was missing her family that day. But one thing that Hannah, you said was that, like, I know I have a family in you all. And once you said that, that was like, that's it. This is what community life is like. It's what it should be, that even though we didn't choose each other, even though that we didn't always get along with each other, that we were there for each other, that we were given to each other for that particular time, for that particular reason, to love each other and to build each other up. So those, having the balance of life and the idea of community life being a family life. There's a couple of things.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, Tom. I think when you go on mission, it's easy to feel like you're leaving people behind, and you're leaving behind your dreams, you're leaving behind people's expectations and your family, and you just gain so much more. And how could the risk not be worth the reward? Like, it totally is. And I think of this mission, and one gift that it like helped me work through is you guys all gave me a space to be myself and to recognize my gifts, and that you pursued me in that. Like, I remember, Emily, you just being so persistent and not letting me stay in a place that I was either like moody or upset, but you actually helped me work through that. And no matter where I go, like professionally, I don't know, I was about to say spiritually, but I'm like, that's weird. Heaven, I guess. I don't know. No matter where I go, not that we can't really go anywhere now. I know that I have that, and I know that people are worth pursuing, and that so many problems I think arise in the workplace when people don't feel like they matter, and they feel like you're just what you do, and you don't get this done, and you must not have done it because you're a bad person or you don't give a crap about the job. It isn't like, oh, you as a human person might be struggling. Go ahead, Maryrose, you want to go? Competition for who wants to talk.
I know we were off mute, so I was like, oh no. Yeah, I think our team had such a gift of loving the person where they were. I think, you know, a lot of times for me on mission, like a lot of, you know, insecurities would come up, and I would just like need to vocalize them, but then I would feel ridiculous. And I think, man, I look back on how many times like I said something that I was nervous about and then felt embarrassed about it, and how everyone, like, even though we all have different, you know, fears or insecurities or way we deal with stress or anxiety or things like that, like my teammates were able to, I don't know, just receive that so gently and be so kind and loving, which like, I don't know, it's so scary being vulnerable, but then when people receive you in such a particular way, I just love that.
Honestly, I forgot what I was going to say before, but no, it's okay. It probably doesn't need to be said, but I will say this, that like, when we were kind of talking about what we were all going to share beforehand, and I feel like what I learned that year was just like, I just came into the mission year probably a little bit more like rough around the edges, and so and when I was talking about like humility before, the stories that come to mind that first year are in the ways that I was formed are more around like hard conversations, which involve vulnerability. But for me, like I'm a choleric temperament, if you're aware of those. And so I can be kind of a bulldozer and a go-getter to a fault, and can be a little like headstrong. And the year kind of like softened that, because when my teammates, particularly the two men on my team, Tom and Armando, had to face my bullheadedness or me being angry at something, they received me in gentleness and in love, and it kind of like disarmed the anger, you know, or the frustration or whatever choleric-ish was going on inside of me at that time. And so I think that's the beauty of community, right? That's the beauty of seeing another person, being able to see past what the front is that they're putting up, to see who they are. And that's something that the Culture Project teaches, is it teaches you how to see. It teaches you how to see people. And that for me, like, created like a softness and a vulnerability that started that year and has continued, thanks be to God. So
I love that. Armando, were you going to share?
Yeah, I was going to say something. I was doing the whole breath thing before I talk. So for me, it really helped me reorient the idea of strength. And with that, you know, I used to think that strength meant like going it alone, not really sharing, you know, just trying to kind of white knuckle your way through it. But the year really was like a school in vulnerability, you know, a school in tenderness, a school in playfulness, you know, because once we were able to work with that vulnerability, break those barriers down, get that healing with the structured prayer and going out there and doing God's work, like, you know, things became so much more fun with each other. Things became so much more easier to talk to each other about. You know, there was less tension, and that school and like finding the strength and being able to be raw with someone was amazing, because it really translated into me being able to identify where I kind of sucked, you know, and just kind of be open and honest with it, you know. And now that I'm married, like, it's been amazing kind of using those skills that I've learned and that strength that I got from the Culture Project in a way where I'm able to communicate with my wife, being able to be vulnerable, admitting that I'm wrong, working without an apology, openly acknowledging that I don't know. Like, I don't know a lot. So the year for the Culture Project was absolutely amazing for me in that way.
Thanks, Armando. Tomas, did you want to share? There's a question that we have, or do you have any?
No, I wholeheartely agree with Armando. That's yeah, just reacting to that. We're good. Let's go to the questions.
Yay. Tom was a team leader, and I feel like he's still in charge 5 years later. So I'm like, I know. Do we need to go somewhere? Okay. Someone asked, what was a difficult situation in community life that you were able to overcome and that you still use the benefits of that today? Oh,
that's a great question. Good
job.
It's
from Melissa. So shout out. I'm like, I have to give this girl a shout out. Hopefully she won one. It's hard to think of one without like trying to put, like
people on the spot.
Yeah. I mean, you had a good one, Emily, that I feel like was useful.
That story from
the coffee
Armando
story?
and I's fight. Yeah, I can tell that. So, again, I feel like I've already been very candid about, roughness of my own heart and bullheadedness. And there's this one situation where, Armando and I were having an argument about something, and we were on our way to a talk, like all of us. And Tom has a very small car, and so we were all packed in this small car, but Armando and I were fighting, and so it was just very tense, like really tense. And I'm pretty sure like we were in the back seat and Maryrose was like sitting in between us. So like, sorry, Maryrose, that was probably very uncomfortable, but like you could cut the tension with a knife. It was bad. So we had gotten in this fight, and we stopped for Starbucks on the way over to our talk. And I was livid. I did not want to apologize. I did not want to iron it out. I didn't even want to talk to him or look at him. And we were about to head into a full day of talks. We were going to be at a school from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. And I knew, like, in my mind, I'm like, I'm not talking to him the rest of the day, And we got out of the car to go into Starbucks, and Armando stopped me before I went in, and he initiated an apology first, which he probably didn't even, I don't even remember the context, but he probably didn't even need to do that. Like, and kind of like made me talk it out, and then hugged me and bought me my coffee that morning. And I remember, that's a story that I've like told my students at KU because it was so impactful. And I had never like experienced like that kind of humility in a confrontation before, where someone is like willing to, like, in a sense, like lay down their pride, lay down their issue with me in order to like reconcile. And it was just so impactful. And that's something that like I've taken a rule from that rule book of like, okay, Emily, it's not about you being right. It doesn't matter, actually. Like, what matters is this relationship and this human being. And so are you willing to, have the difficult conversation, be the first mover here, and apologize, even if you don't think you need to. Like, the point of this is this connection with this person, and like, what are you willing to do to retain it? So that would be one of many things that I probably learned through confrontation. I probably have a litany of other stories that year in which I was in confrontational conversations. So yeah, but that's one of them.
Thanks, Em. Mm-hmm. Does anyone else have a story? I have one, but I didn't want to talk before you guys.
Go for it, Hannah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very simple story. I joked about the water bottles in like my introduction. I think one of the biggest lessons I learned, which it like blew my mind that I could ask someone for what I need. It's crazy. You know, I entered the mission, I think I was 24. I taught for 2 years and I was like, what? I could ask for what I need, or even, dare I say, what I want? Obviously, I didn't get everything I wanted, you know. But even as simply as like, it bothered me that Armando left his half-drank water bottles all over the living room. And I was like, this dude is doing it on purpose. Like, we live in community. Like, how dare you not respect me? Like, it's keeping me up at night. And Armando's going along his merry way. And I'm just like, how does he do that? And then one day I was like, you know what, Hannah, you learned enough. You need to ask him, you know, simply ask him. Let him know that it bothers you. And I never grew up knowing how to do that. I just kind of avoided confrontation, honestly. And it was so healing to have a conversation with Armando, because Armando, you spoke to me and you were just like, oh, it bothers you? Oh, great. I won't do that. And I was just dumbfounded, because something so little meant so much to me, that you were so willing to just say, yeah, it bothers you. I'll stop. I'll try not to do that. And it just reminded me that, like, people are able to, like, people want to love me. There is a desire there, and there's a beauty in asking for what you need. And I know I talked about risk before, but like, even the risk of asking for what you need, it was met with it was so honoring that something so little was honored. And yeah, I think I'm still learning how to do that, but that was one of the biggest things. Yeah.
Sorry, I talk a lot. And I warned the team before, like, please don't let me talk the whole time. Just like, one thing I just want to point out is that, like, those are the moments that like feel icky because you have to have a hard conversation, or someone offended you or whatever. Like, those are the moments, not only in community or on mission, but in life, period. Those are the moments that form you. Like that, we tend to like hide from those moments. Like, I don't want to have that difficult conversation. I don't want to like confront that person. But when we lean in to that, like, those are the moments that form us in maturity, that form us in virtue, that form us in friendship. That's what the reason why we had such a good community that year is, because we leaned into those moments and we responded to them. We didn't run from them. And that's something that is unique to being on mission and on a team that is applied to like every aspect of all of our lives, that like leaning into the hard things, because nothing is going to form you more than the hard parts, you know?
Yes, so true. And so true, and also like unfortunate, but that's the way we grow. Sorry, my sister asked a question and I'm like, girl, you on here acting crazy. We can answer her question afterwards, but Gian has a question for us. Maybe fun and not so fun at the same time. Can y'all share about your experiences going through the dating phase, both as individual men, and I know we're putting ourselves on blast, both as individual men and women, but also as a team? Who wants to go?
The dating fest really helped. I feel like every other word coming out of my mouth was like, wow, she's so pretty, to whatever pretty girl was, you know, at the event we were at. And, you know, it was great just kind of being able to eventually be able to refocus, recenter myself with the mission. It definitely was difficult, but it was really helpful in the sense that it pulled apart the idea of just someone being physically attractive. You know, being in a team with Hannah, Emily, and Maryrose really gave me the opportunity to experience their beauty in a whole different way, right? Rather than just how beautiful they are on the surface, I got to see just kind of like how wonderful each and every one of them were, with their awesome uniqueness in their personalities, with their funny little quirks, with how they spoke and all of that. And for me, it just kind of like helped pull back probably some of those wounds I'd experienced in my past. and help me feel and understand that, actually I'm deserving of someone so beautiful. So I think for me, the dating fast, although it was hard, um, experiencing this in my sisters in mission was absolutely essential in my growth.
Dang. That's like such a compliment. I just like want to sit in that and be like, okay, we're done. Ending on a good note. I think my experience on the dating fast was I was very, what's the word? Strict, scrupulous, all of those, both of those. And Maryrose, I hope this is okay that I shared this, but even seeing you go out on like a few first dates and like having the courage to do that and remember, Emily, we had to like pick her up one time. We're like, oh my gosh, how'd it go? And hearing about it, it brought me so much out of myself that like, I don't have to be afraid to admit that I want somebody to love me. And I just said that. I almost said it on live TV. Maybe it's me on live TV. But I just said those words out loud. Oh my gosh, it's kidding me. It's something that I don't have to be afraid of. And Maryrose's witness, she wasn't on a dating fast, but I was. And that helped me open my heart a little bit more to not be afraid to, like, if I saw a dude, not shut down that desire and like, like an Uber, like shut it down, not to, oh my gosh, I'm going to rant. I feel it coming. Not to shut that desire down, but to embrace it and channel it in the right way. And to have men on my team who spoke compliments so purely was so healing, because before that, I never really had a man compliment me in a way where he wasn't trying to get something from me. And like, it was scary kind of, but it was very beautiful.
I can share about my experience, but golly, my first year of mission, if Christina is watching this, I'm so sorry, Christina Barba. Like, again, bullheaded. Like, one thing I learned from the Culture Project is the importance of obedience. Like, I kind of skirted around the dating fast. Like, I'm just gonna be like fully honest. Like, I did not embrace it. I like, was kind of like talking to a guy throughout the year and shouldn't have been. And full disclosure, admitting that now, but I mean, I admitted it then too, and I wasn't like hiding it. I definitely like talked about it. But yeah, that is one of those things that I look back and I wish I would have embraced that more. But I think for me, like with what the Lord was doing that year and like teaching me humility, teaching me to be obedient, teaching me to follow, it goes along with that story. You know what I mean? It was just another component of what he was trying to do in my heart.
Maryrose, is there? Oh yeah, come on.
Yeah. I think whenever I think of the dating fast, I think of the words Christina Barba uses for it and the Benedictine monks that form us whenever they talk about it with us. But the idea of the dating fast, the ethos of it, is not to stop falling in love or to avoid falling in love. But the point of the dating fast is to fall in love with each and every person that you encounter. And that was something that was a new perspective for me. And being able to be in this family unit, in this community, really challenged, I think, all of us in different ways to fall in love with each other in a platonic and pure way. So that idea of falling in love, but in a platonic way, was new for me, but it's something that, opened my eyes to new horizons when it came to love.
Wow, that was beautiful. New horizons when it comes to love. Yeah, it's so true. And it's something that's freeing, we have we have a question from my sister. I love her. She's asking about when the Culture Project is expanding to other cities, when will Philly be a hub for missionaries? She's putting us on blast. Honestly, Archbishop Nelson Perez was on last week. So bomb. Watch it if you haven't watched it yet. He wants people here. So honestly, if you're interested in this mission and you want to, I don't know if you'll be in Philly, but you want to serve, like, we need people that want to do this work, that are willing to not just stand in front of a stage and like have a good time, be like, oh my gosh, this girl said my outfit's cute and they're gonna practice chastity, I'm a hero. Like, that's great, but that does not always happen. And we need people that are gonna be willing to, like Emily said, come to terms with the parts of yourself that maybe you need to work on, and allow yourself to really just be open and formed. Well, we don't have any more questions, but I would love for each of you guys to share just like one last tidbit that you would like to share. I don't know if it's like what you wish you knew when you came to mission, or just like what advice you would give to someone who was wanting to be a missionary, or someone who, yeah, I don't know, either of those things. I would love for you guys to share wisdom before we close out. I forget how many of you are internal processors, which is fine. Me and Emily are like, go.
Yeah, I'm like refraining from speaking first. Like,
well, I'll go, I guess. I'll give you guys time to think. Sorry. I like, team life is great. It teaches you so much about yourself. People don't think the same way. Like, I say whatever is on my mind, and that's not always good. But here we go. I think I just want to share that, oh, we do got another question. Okay, maybe this isn't the end. People want more. I'll skip that. Honestly, I didn't know what I was going to say. The question is, how did you maintain your individuality while living in community life? That is a great question. And honestly, I don't know why I'm yelling. It's getting me hyped. I think that Tom did such a good job of creating and cultivating an environment and a team where we were free to be ourselves, where me and Maryrose and Armando yelling at each other, not mad, but just like loud, like us yelling and scaring each other and like playing hide and seek, and Armando accidentally going into some dude's house, like those things. He gave us the freedom to be ourselves, and it was never looked down upon. There are ways we had to grow individually and like personality wise, had to be fine-tuned, but I think it really stemmed from Tom like giving that space. And when I would be loud, or when I did have an attitude about something, I remember even like getting frustrated that you didn't like fudge. Like, that was 5 years ago and it's still in my mind. I'm like, how do you not like that, Tom? Clearly I'm so mad about it, but you gave me the opportunity to just be extra and be me. And yeah, honestly, I haven't shut up since, because it all started with the culture project. So you're welcome. What about y'all? What comes to mind with how you have maintained your individuality while living community life?
Go ahead, Em.
I'm sorry. I have thoughts.
I'm sorry. Yeah, that's good.
I
Good
just
thoughts.
feel like community life should enhance your individuality. Like, if you know who you are, why would community life take that away? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think throughout mission, community life helped me discover who I was more. But I guess what comes to mind is like, if I don't know who I am, or if I'm not confident in who I am, then I'm going to cling to other people to figure out myself. So I don't think, okay, sorry. Hi, Emily, I'm blunt. I'm going to say something kind of blunt. I feel like if I went into mission not confident in myself, or if I didn't know who I was fully, which is okay. But if that were the case, community life might like influence my individuality, but it's not because it's not like the community's fault. That would be on me. Like, I would need to reflect and be like, okay, who am I actually? You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense, but I don't see those things as up against each other.
I saw community life as an enhancer, like Emily pointed out. Because within our nungeon, as we used to call it, we had one part of the hall, and Emily, Hannah, and Maryrose. Your name's right there on the computer. had like a completely other side of the hall. And like, I was always in the living room, Mr. Extrovert, waiting for friends to come play. And that happened on and off. And everyone also had their ability to go back to their room. But just by the nature of the mission itself, we were able to go, and I was able to get my needs met with talking to people. We were able to work with small groups and work with young adult groups and all of that. So part of it was great, it being enhanced by each and every one of us kind of dragging ourselves out and doing our job, basically.
Yeah, I think coming into team life, I was coming from a little bit of the opposite end of the spectrum of being more shy or being, I guess, more afraid to show my personality. And I think the Culture Project and like team life has helped with that so much. Like, I think just within our team, like we all have different personalities and, you know, I lost my train of thought, but we all have different personalities. But I think, I can't even pinpoint the specific reason, but the community we were able to foster just gave such a safe space of like for me personally, I'm being more reserved and, you know, wanting people to like me, but being shy. Like, I just like so am thankful for our team dynamic of, you know, I was able to be wild and crazy, and like Tom was so patient. Like, I don't know. That was just, I love that about our team.
Yeah, kind of going back to Maryrose, what you had referenced earlier, and what you referenced there, the idea of weaknesses and insecurities and being free to express those. That was something that helped me grow as a person and grow in self-confidence. That's all of me, right? That it's easy to show your strengths, it's easy to show where you're talented, but when you know you struggle at something, I try to hide that as much as possible. So when those did come out on team, to be able to be loved and supported in that was something that helped me grow in self-confidence. And I was like, all right, like this is more of who I am, and I'm able to share that. And we were able to cultivate that, I think, on our team, but then that helps us cultivate that with each other in terms of reaching out and with anybody that we meet, being able to invite people to express that themselves and where they're weak, where they struggle, and to be able to receive them in that as well. So there's the individuality for me, of being able to express my weaknesses, but to be able to receive those as well.
I love that. Oh my gosh, we just got a flood of new questions. So looks like people like us, guys. Great news. Someone has a question that's really easy to answer. Gina Gomez, is there an age limit to join the Culture Project? So since we speak to high schoolers and middle schoolers and even young adults, a lot of our missionaries are like right out of college for a couple years or two, get to serve mission, sometimes even more. But I think technically our age limit might be 30. We just want people to relate and be in a place to give to the mission. So, but even if you're like close to 30, you're like, oh my gosh, am I too old? Going to be 22-year-olds? Apply if it's on your heart, and we'll be happy to have a conversation. We have another great question. Do you guys have a guys community and a girls community within your team? And how did you cultivate those friendships? Well, definitely there's community for sure. And I think, like Emily said, it's something we had to work towards. And honestly, with the dudes, I don't know if I ever told you this, it was difficult and kind of awkward because like you were talking about, Tomas, that the like falling in love with people, and I think even just opening up your heart to love someone of the opposite sex in a way that isn't solely for like, I want you to be this for me romantically. Like, it was so freeing to not have that and be on the dating class and be like, oh my gosh, everyone's off limits anyway, so whatever. Not whatever, you know, virtue and boundaries and all that stuff. But it helped me to really receive their love, and it was pure. Like, one thing that I thought about was just like, I think the men in particular, I guess this was about community in between the men and women, whatever, that you guys spoke just so beautifully, and like beautiful things were spoken to us women to build us up. And in a lot of ways, I think us girls bonded partially because like we knew that you guys were there for us, and you guys were like striving to be better, like for yourselves too, but also to serve us and love us. So I think in a way that helped build our women's community on the team.
Quick disclaimer, I also feel like I said a lot of really dumb things in the beginning and probably throughout the entire culture project. And it was kind of like bouncing back and learning from that, right? Because sometimes I would communicate in a way that probably hurt someone's feelings. And I had to learn how to like kind of encounter that, learn how to work with that. And it was just like kind of through that communal aspect, I was better able to kind of understand that certain things weren't worth, proving a point towards. Certain things weren't worth following, like train of thoughts weren't like worth following through with. Like, for example, when Emily pointed out that conversation we had, I remember like that argument. I remember making a conscious effort in my mind, like, why is this even like worth it? Like, why am I like upset about, like, it makes no sense being upset about it. And it was like making that conscious choice to give that up, which was really interesting. I remember it very vividly, just like that feeling of letting it drop. And then the energy I needed to move forward with it, which was minimal in comparison to like holding a grudge. So that's like how freely that felt when I made that choice to work with it, like approach Emily in that way. But regarding community with the men, it took a little bit of time to work towards building a better friendship with Thomas. It took some conversation. It took some challenging of each other. And then as the year progressed, I do feel like I built a pretty good friendship with Thomas. And I really do feel like in our community, Thomas gave a wonderful witness as to like, here's how to be more structured, here's how to be responsible, here's how to kind of be objective, right? And like hear people out in that sense. So like there was a lot of wonderful virtue I had the opportunity of learning from Thomas. And that brotherhood kind of like developed. It took a little bit of time, but I really had to admit to myself that, at times I was being a butthead and I was being a little bit more aloof, right? So in order for that to grow, that brotherhood with Thomas, like I had to like admit that to myself, and we had to like work towards growing together. And we had a unique circumstance because we were only two guys and he was the team lead. So there was like that professional boundary there, and there's like learning how to navigate that boundary as well.
Yeah, and I think prior to our mission year, like Emily, Hannah, and I didn't really, know each other well. We had met each other in training, but it's basically, you see, your teammates for 2 weeks, and then, there's the summertime, and then the mission begins with the rest of the culture project. So I think, I'm trying to remember like our first couple weeks at in California. I think, it could be scary to go out to a new, like the West Coast with people that you don't really know well. And I think I guess what comes to mind is like the first couple weeks. I think something that helped with our women's community, but also our community as a whole, is like, different issues that came up at the beginning of mission, whether it be problems with our house, whether, I think Hannah reminded me of this and I didn't even remember. We didn't have a stove, I think, or something for a few weeks. But I think all of our reactions to that, it would be so easy to be like, this stinks, like I'm just gonna be upset or blah blah blah. But I think we chose joy in those moments, and that helped us bond together. Like we found the humor in it, or like, you know, instead of being, you know, sad about problems with our house, we would go out and do something fun. And I think Hannah and Emily were always like throughout the year, we're always just so good. Like I'm more like, I just want to stay home and rest, or like just hang out in my room and have introvert time. And like, no, we would do things like go whale watching, or like, you know, other things like that, that I think we all have different personalities, but I think we're able to develop such a beautiful sisterhood, and just even like simple things like that.
Yeah, just to like add one little part to that, because I think like female community can be really interesting. I think we as women can walk into like making new female friendships with kind of like like we're like feeling each other out, and maybe comparing ourselves. And I know Armando mentioned how our house was laid out, and there was like a divide of like the guys were on one side and the girls were on the other, but I happened to be on the guy's side, which was like very strange. And so I was on the guy's side of the hallway, and then there was a door that was usually closed for the girls' side of the hallway. So I remember in the beginning of the year, I felt I got in my own head, which is so easy to do, especially when you're trying to develop new friendships. You don't know these people, where I was like, oh, Maryrose and Hannah, they keep the door closed on that side because they don't want to include me. And that's what I thought for like the first couple of weeks. And I remember talking to this priest that was my spiritual director at the time, and being like, yeah, I don't feel connected with them. There's this door that blocks me from the girls' side, and it's always closed. And my spiritual director was just like, Emily, just open the door. Open the door. And so I just started walking in and sitting on Hannah's bed and laying on Maryrose's bed. And I think sometimes for like the female aspect of the community with the girls on the team, it just, we're all kind of like scared. We think that, you know, that girl isn't going to like me for whatever reason. And it's like, I think on mission, I just had to like get over the fear of like making a new friend, which sounds like, what am I, in kindergarten? You know what I mean? But like, we're those things stick with us, you know, when we're adults, of like, yeah, it's hard to make new friendships. What if they don't like me? What if, you know, they click up together and I'm this third wheel the whole time? And I think if, you know, that person, you know, can let go of their guards and like just be open and fearless, and like, hey, I want to know you and I want to see you, like we've been talking about, like I think that's what really helped cultivate Hannah, Maryrose, and I's friendship, that is still like, I talk to them still like regularly about my life, because there was just like an openness that we work towards.
I love that. Yeah, there's so much more we could share, but unfortunately we have a limit. But, you know, just keep telling them to bring us back in the comments, and who knows, maybe this will be a weekly thing. Just kidding. Maybe, who knows. Thank you all for tuning in today, and thank you, team, for being here and making it a priority. I love all of you guys, and yeah, I'm happy to have served with you and continue serving. Thank you all for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the conversation, and if not, you know, pray for us then. Please join us tomorrow at noon as we have a conversation about men's involvement in the pro-life movement. Why should men be involved? How do men talk to women about pro-life issues? So that'll be an awesome conversation with Peter Range, who works for the Diocese of Toledo. And during this time, as you can see, the Culture Project, we got things to do. We got people to talk to and beauty to speak into people's lives and hearts. So if this is something that really tugged at you, please know that your donation will really make a big impact, and you can donate at thecultureproject.org/donate. Thank you all for tuning in, and have a good night.